On today's show, I'm wearing my black and gold hat. I mean, it is Alpha Phi Alpha, but I'm wearing it for Bowie State, the Symphony of Sound. And you already know how we're going to do it. We're going to talk about the drills, we're going to talk about the stands, and the total package. All this and more coming up next on Luke's Band Report. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're watching me right now. My name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passionates Network. I'm also the host of Talk That Talk, which we're on a break for the month of July. But you can get all of our merchandise at www.realtalkthattalk.com. Also, please make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and click one of those little thingies down there, or just like and subscribe. You know how it goes. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Bowie State. I know that I said I was going to be doing two, but I felt like it would only be best to be able to talk about one program like I've done with everybody else. Why try to mash two of them together? I think that would be kind of unfair, don't you? So, with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is stands. No, drills. Sorry. I pointed at drills, but then I said stands. That's what happens sometimes when you know, just going off the cuff. But anyway, drills, I actually think that their drills are pretty good. I mean, as I keep watching their drills, or I watched the few that I had, and first of all, shout out to their media team. Great to see that they have their own media team. I mean, there's not a lot that they have on there. They do have a couple of the performances that they've done. They've even had the wind ensemble performance that they did that I actually did watch. For those of you all who think that I didn't watch, here it is right there, just in case. But nevertheless, shout out to their media team and all of the media that they did catch for the program this year. But I did watch their drills, and what I liked about their drills is they keep everything pretty basically close. Everything is pretty basically at a two-step interval. They're not necessarily doing any like kaleidoscope drills or anything like that, keeping everything, in my opinion, somewhat linear. Kind of doing the linear drill thing. There was, I think, one drill that I watched, they went out to like a 4-step spacing that kind of pushed them to, like, I want to say maybe between the 30 and the 30. So I thought that was really interesting. So I really like what they're doing with their drills. Big shout out, short drum major. This one, energy's on 1,000. And as a matter of fact, when I talk about energy on 1,000, that's kind of what happens, like I said before, with the smaller programs. The smaller programs usually put all the energy that they can inside of everything that they do. And Bowie State, again, is one of those programs that when you see them come out on the field, from the time they march out to the time they get to the dance routine, which you all know that I'm not much of a fan of, but they always give you energy from top to bottom. And I think that's a great thing. Unfortunately, for some larger bands, we don't really see that a lot as far as the energy and what they put into the field. It's almost like lackluster, almost kind of like an ego thing. Like, I know I'm the better band, so blah, 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 unless they're going up against like major opponents, but that's a completely different conversation. But the smaller bands tend to put more energy into the show because in a lot of cases they got more to prove. So, hey, but shout out to that short drum major, the young lady. From what I can tell, I think it's a young lady. If it isn't, I do apologize for that. I'm not trying to be rude. Just saying. Not trying to be rude. But nevertheless, getting back to the drills. So as it pertains to the drills, again, here we go with the flags. Flags are just thrown in the back yet again. And the way that you all do drills doesn't even make sense to me. There's so many other places that you can actually utilize those flags within the drill. But again, sticking them in the back and just letting them go for broke. Now, one of the things that I did realize about the flags is they do have some timing issues, which as I kept watching the shows, one of the things that I did realize is after they got finished being in the back, you all brought them to the front for a flag feature, which I thought was cool. I think that's a great thing. And what I noticed about their flag features is the fact that when you brought them down for the flag feature, they typically had 2 different silks that they were using, and maybe even 2 different poles, maybe like a swing flag and then their normal poles that they use. What I didn't like is, well, first of all, I do want to say what I did like is the fact that they used colorful silk. Something that was completely different, out of the box, something that was going to stand out. Congratulations to you all. I think that's dope. Keep that idea. What I didn't like is the fact that even though you all use those swing flags or use those smaller flags or use that silk, it really wasn't anything that was like flag-like. It was more, again, it felt like 8 counts on the field. It felt like you were throwing stands in the field. And it was kind of like, well, you could have just kind of kept that. And it actually proved itself. I think it was in one of the drills that you all did where the dancers came out and they had these like little white, I guess like ribbon thingies or whatever it was. But they had that, and then the flags did something. I think it was right after them with a colorful version, but they just did 8 counts. And in my brain, I'm watching like, well, you could have just had the dance girls do this. I mean, you didn't really have to come out and have the flags do it. So I don't know. For me, in my opinion, I just really think that it's a situation where if you're going to do something, which I think is great, and I've said this on other programs too, so don't think that it's just me singling you all out. It's more of I'm really just kind of noticing some of the same patterns in a couple of other places. If you're going to have flags, utilize them as flags. Don't do 8 count dance moves with silk in your hands. Just because, in my opinion, you're just another dance line. And if that's the case, then get rid of the flags and just be a dance line. But it's just my opinion. Hey, it is what it is. As far as the dance line, I think they're called the Dancing Divas, if I'm not mistaken. I actually think they're actually a good dance line. I don't think that they did anything that was really bad. I think that, again, some little timing issues here and there, but I mean, for what they do, I think they're actually really good. Here's my problem. I don't think the band complements the dancers at all. When I listen to the performances or the music that the dancers are doing adverse the band, it just don't even seem like it lines up to me. They don't seem like they match. The energy in the music is not the same as the energy that I guess they're trying to put out. And it almost seems like the music is a lot slower for them than even what they do in drills. Now, that may be by the request of the dancers or the auxiliary or the dance captain or the dance coordinator. It could be. But I don't think that the band itself complements the dance line. And I think that that may be a communication issue, or that may just be what you all want. That could be it. But when we start talking about the band, sound wise, one of the things that completely stuck out to me, and it actually is gonna dive into what we talk about as far as the stands as well. Sound wise, just wasn't doing it for me. Me and Rick used to talk about this all the time, about bands trying to play the smartest kid in the classroom. Well, what does that mean? What that means is,
we're better than you, and we know it.
Yeah, that's kind of what that means. Kind of trying to show that we are elite. And I'm not trying to say that Bowie is trying to show that they're elite. Please don't think that I'm trying to say that. But what I am saying is I think that there are some arrangements and approaches that you all take that doesn't necessarily fit the program that you have. And in my opinion, it ends up making you sound worse than making you sound better. Sometimes when you have a smaller band program with smaller sections, having melody, counter melody, and another counter melody in there doesn't necessarily work. And then having music where it may be too difficult when you have a multitude of 16-note runs or these syncopated rhythms that they're not prepared to play, I think that also kind of hurts that program. You want to always try to maximize your arrangements for the program that you have, and I just don't think that sometimes you all do well in that. And again, this is just from my ear. And I'm not trying to say that you all are terrible, and I'm not trying to say that you all are bad. I just think that sometimes our vision for what we want may be more advanced for the program that we have. And you may want to pull back some just to say, all right, I want to make sure that I'm maximizing the best out of this program to get the best out of every single student. That's it. Again, not necessarily saying that you all are doing anything wrong, but what I will say is that does translate in the stands. I also will say that there is an intonation problem that I did hear consistently. And again, when you're dealing with a smaller program, it's difficult to start talking about those intonation things because of the fact that you may have smaller sections or students that are not as strong as players or so on and so forth. But my recommendation or my thought process is if you tune inside, I think that's great. I don't think that's a problem with that. Tuning inside is good if you're tuning at A440. But also realizing that you may want to have to retune once you get outside, because temperature can definitely affect what's happening with the instrument. And I'm not saying that to say that the directors don't know that or don't know that information. But what I will say is that when I hear, and the multiple times that I heard you all, I kind of felt like the intonation was off in the whole band. I don't feel like there was any instances of overplaying, but I do feel like there were some instances of stickouts. And so I think that's one of the things that not only hurt you all specifically on the field, but also in the stands. And again, playing that smartest kid in the classroom. Yes, you all have some music that you all were playing that was definitely some up-to-date music. But then you guys were playing some things that I felt like, eh. So that's just my thoughts. In the stands, Dancing Divas, I thought you guys were a dance line in the stands. I don't think you all did anything bad there. I think you all looked fine. But then when I go back to the flag line again, because when I was looking, I felt like they kind of stuck them in the corner. Like, right here. They're in the corner. Nobody puts Baby in the corner. So, I don't know. But when I see them, I feel like they're just another dance group. It didn't really feel like they're a flag line. So it just begs the question of why do you all have a flag group? I don't know. That's just the way I perceive it. As far as everything else saw in the stands, I like your energy. I think you all have a great energy in the stands. Again, that goes back to the smaller group. Smaller groups feel like they got something to prove, and typically when that happens, you get great production out of kids. And you can tell that the kids who are there truly want to be there. And I think that's an awesome thing. And I think that you all as a staff is doing a great job of keeping energy up and the morale for every single student. So kudos to y'all. Total package from top to bottom. I really like what you guys are doing in drills. I really think that the drills are really nice. I think they're done very well, executed very well. Love the drum majors, especially the little baby. Very good. Again, kudos to you. But again, I think the intonation issues is definitely a big thing. Throwing flags in the back, that really just kind of throws me off. And then again, I like the fact that you're doing double silks when you all are doing a performance down front for the flags, but I don't really understand the 8 counts, just doing dance 8 counts with something in your hand, instead of actually doing some flag works, some tricks, some tosses, stuff like that. So that stands out to me as well. So as far as the stand is concerned, again, intonation thing is definitely an issue, but I like your energy. But playing the smartest kid in the classroom with some of your arrangements doesn't always work. So in my opinion, just going to be very honest, it's a D+. A lot of work to do, but I guess you guys are on the right track. That's not to say that this is a terrible group, and I'm also not trying to say that the directors are doing anything that are negative or bad. So please don't ever take it like that. And I personally don't want to try to make any director feel bad for the work that they're doing, or anyone to feel as though I'm trying to make a director feel bad. It's just my perception. So with that being said, wanted to make a couple of comments right quick. We're going to do Central State on the next episode. Again, I wanted to give Bowie their own episode because it wouldn't have felt right for me to try to double up on somebody or double up on a program when I didn't do that for anybody else. So Central State, you guys are up next for your grade. Also, I do want to say this. Big shout out to Brother Moore. One of the things that he said I thought was interesting when it came to the Bethune thing, or the Bethune comment, he said I didn't mention the crooked lines and he thought I would. I actually did. But what I also said was, if you saw that same show throughout the year, the lines did get a little straight. So I couldn't be upset at that. That is what I said. But I want you guys to keep on watching, keep it locked. Also, please make sure you go over there to our TikTok page just to check out any of the clips. Make sure you hit the follow, subscribe, like, and all of that thing. Hit the notification bell. I appreciate you guys for checking me out and joining me, and I will see you all on next week.